All right, looks like we're rolling. Hi, welcome, dear Cancer. That's you. This is Tarot Lumination. This is your general report, March 2018. You know the drill. Watch your sun, moon, and rising. Do the cross watching for significant others. This is just a general report, okay? We're going to use the journey of the heart spread, all right? Cards were well shuffled in advance. You're just going to keep going so that you're a witness. And no jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Sorry, no time, no room. And so for you, Cancer, the that whole Leo Aquarius thing was happening up there in your 8th house joint resources that you might have been really shaken up there. A lot of pain perhaps. But now we're coming into the Pisces vortex thing. It's a massive stellium up there in the 9th house to do with higher knowledge, wisdom, foreign travel, your spiritual connection with heaven, so to speak. Not like the 12th house, but more to do with understanding, wisdom, okay, and bringing it all down to earth here. So what are we going to do with that? So with the, hold on, let me get the notes. Stay there. It's the same. I've been doing this for every report, I think. So you just came out of this, like for everybody else, it was over here. That was for you, the Aquarius eclipse thing up there in your 8th house, Leo house axis there. But now all the action for March is up here for you, for the Pisces energy up there in your 9th house, okay? And that would be you there, Cancer, okay? So it would look sort of like this. Now, it's really nice, of course, because the Pisces energy can be so harmonious with you, very, very comfortable, very supportive. The thing is that there's going to be a strong emphasis that Sun, Neptune, Mercury, Venus, and Chiron, a strong emphasis on the Chiron. Got to reveal it to heal it here. So as lovely as this Pisces energy might be, you could be feeling it in terms of like these awakenings of like, oh my gosh, I thought the world worked this way. I didn't realize it worked that way. And all your misconceptions about things that you thought were just like universal truths turned out to be subjective truth or semi-subjective truth at best. And now you're going to have to recalibrate everything. But that's okay. That's what's needed right now, okay? So let's not stress about it too much. All right. Some of the readings I got really stressed and like overexcited about certain things. But I think with you, Cancer, I think you're going to have a gentler ride than a lot of some of the other signs, okay? So let's do this, all right? Okay, let's have a look. We're bringing in Tarot Illumination angels here, so I would invite you to bring your own angels in too. We'll turn this into a team effort, okay? Team effort, okay. This would be you at the very core, your heart energy, pulsing, pulsing, pulsing. The heart needs what it needs, wants what it wants, and it's up to you, Cancer, to feed that, okay? Look after yourself, love yourself, nurture yourself, and then the heart also has to get rid of all the waste, okay? So allow that to happen. You don't want to hold on to any of that. What are you bringing in with you? Legacy energy, perhaps, the shock waves and aftershocks from the Leo Aquarius eclipse thing that happened in your 2nd, 8th house axis, all right? What is that? How is that leaving you right now? Are you already smoothed out from there? Are you kind of like all, let's say, wiped down and just ready to go again? Or are you still kind of in an aftershock? Because that was a big wave. And this Pisces energy might be nice and soothing for you now, but let's see. Anyway, we'll see. This is the ever-present now. Some people are very uncomfortable with this because it means having to be totally present, because that's where all the power is. Now, you can't do this 24/7. All I'm suggesting is that when you are in the now, that's where you have your power. That's where you can activate your evolution through the healing power of your decisions. A lot of people would prefer to abdicate this card altogether, outsource all their life and decisions to fate or other people or other circumstances, wallowing in the past, projecting about the future, but anything to avoid being present. That's a very common story, sadly. So it's in the present where you access the healing power of your decisions, right here. Okay, and so how are we going to make loving and healing decisions that do nurture the heart? That's over here. Okay, and consequently, what does that bring to us over here? All right. Now the thing is, when you're in like do a slow motion thing here, like with the heart, if that's a pulsing heart, boom, boom, boom. Over here, we're doing our best as conscious beings, okay, Cancer, to nurture ourselves, love ourselves, but we often mess up. We put too much stress on our bodies. We overwork, we overeat, we overindulge, we over self-medicate. We are overly compassionate, we're overly stressed, overly aggressive, overly forgiving, whatever it is. But over here, it's important to be really, really like pure and understanding and facing all the fears and facing all the potential joys, understanding that there's a lot at stake. So what if you mess up on your decisions? Oh no. Well, what if you truly love yourself and honor yourself? How does that work out? Oh yeah, interesting. So over here would be prospects of momentum, literally in slow-mo, as the heart sucks in nutrients and pumps them out again to the next heartbeat, and so on. Over here, circumstantial energy, call it the weather. You're going to make the best of it, Cancer, like all the rest of us have to, all right? No caving in. So you've got the Eight of Swords here. So it might be a time right now where, let's just say, that uncomfortable, awkward feeling that can happen when you're realizing how little you know. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings here, Cancer. All I'm suggesting is that with all that energy piling up there in the ninth house of higher knowledge and wisdom, and you're coming in sweet and innocent from a whole year's journey or a whole month's journey to get to this point now again, realizing how much like, oh my gosh, I had no idea I was so out of alignment. That's what's going to possibly happen here with the Chiron Sun Neptune thing going on, where you realize, I thought it was all this way. I thought everything worked this way. I thought when somebody told me the facts of life, it was like this, and I discovered it's not. I thought that religion was about this. I thought the way my parents raised me was about this, but everything, none of it's the way you thought it was. And it's just like, wait a minute, this is too much to handle right now. Circumstantial energy, you're not going to be owned by this, okay, Cancer? If you think of this as a chance to enter a puzzle, and you're in a circumstance right now where you don't have to be scared of what you don't know. It's a chance to, let's say, gently admit there's a lot that needs to be learned and understood here. So it's an opportunity. Okay, try and find a way to translate this into opportunity. All right, Cancer, so that you can. In other words, by realizing how much you don't know, it's a chance to realize how much you have to learn and how much joy and wisdom is out there available still for you. What's going on at the heart level? Okay, more appraisal, more understanding about what doesn't work. Because, if you're living a whole life based on what you thought were universal truths, only to discover that those were subjective truths that were malleable and subject to a lot of corruption, then that affects your whole life. Okay, it's like you are what you think. You are who you think you are, and then you realize, like, wait a minute, I didn't know I was who I am, what I'm discovering myself to be now, because it might have been all cluttered up with preconceptions, conditioning, other people's subjective truth imposed upon you, and you're like, none of this works. What is my truth? What is my reality here? The heart wants to know. The heart wants to know what's going on for me at the very core of me. I really need to know what's not working. I understand I have gifts and talents and values, but I also need to understand it in the absolute truth levels of how I might have been so like, I'm not going to say ignorant, but like unaware of what was not working. In other words, how corrupted things might have been, like how things can get rusty and full of weeds or full of or overgrown or untended. Like a poorly managed garden gets really out of whack very, very quickly. And the heart wants to understand what is not working so that it can figure out what it has to do to get back in alignment. Sometimes the most important thing is to figure out what's not working. How are we failing? How are you failing, Cancer? You've got the talents and the gifts. That's not the issue. It's just that they're not maximizing. They're not being expressed at optimal levels here because circumstances are being discovered to be much less than optimal. But it's not their problem. It's yours. Okay. What are you bringing in with you? Okay. Well, at least you're coming in with a strong sense of self-worth and majesty. I think this is all to do with the harmonious aspects of the Pisces energy, which is very supportive of you, where you're realizing you do have a lot to offer and you do have every reason to be very, very proud of yourself coming in, despite realizing your inabilities, your disabilities, your lack of absolute wisdom and knowledge, because if you knew everything all the time, then you would be God and somewhere else, probably not here on Earth, okay? But you're here on Earth to hang out with the rest of us in your own awesomeness. Thank you. All right. And we understand that you're flawed, Cancer, as just like the rest of us. It's okay. We're all covered in weeds and leftovers and bits and pieces that none of the rest of us have figured out how to solve yet. Don't worry. It's okay. It's perfectly normal. You're just going through your own phase right now. What about right now? Okay. My feeling here is that there's a very strong drive in you right now to, let's say, put up the middle finger. I'm just going to do that. Hold on. My whole screen froze. Okay, there it's back. I don't know how long the freeze went. Please forgive me. I think the audio keeps going, but you might have lost the visuals. Anyway, sorry. Technical problems. I'm not a techie, okay? Sorry about that. So with the Queen of Swords here, my feeling is right here and right now, there's a strong urge for you to literally do like a purging. Like when you realize how much was out of whack in terms of your perception, knowledge, and wisdom, it's like, my gosh, just like very, very small amounts of incorrect information, knowledge, and wisdom can have huge negative consequences down the road. And you're realizing this now, how your own, let's say, awesome, most dignified self in terms of being fully in charge of your talent, skills, and resources is heavily undermined by, let's say, bad attitudes, misperceptions, lies, truth, anything that is not good and honest and solid and simple and true. It's almost like, I don't see this as too rude, but I think it's a very strong indication that right now it's all about calling this stuff out. And there's popping a big zit, popping a huge boil, whatever you want to call it, looking at all the wounds and the suffering that's going on up here in this part of your life, in part of your world, that is impacting the rest of your life, okay? It's really important to reveal it, to heal it. And I think that's what you're calling for right now. Calling it out, putting up the finger to anything that is not working, okay? Which requires having to, like a big wake-up call, and not treating this as enemies coming after you or things that are not able to be handled, but just part of a puzzle that can be solved. It's just willing to face that this is something that has to be solved and dealt with, okay? Please take advantage of this situation. So in terms of the healing power of your decisions, right now, my feeling is that in some ways, there's that sensation of, like, what happens when you are in a situation which is very deeply satisfying. It's so luscious and so yummy, it's almost embarrassing. And it's something that you would crave and want. And yet at the same time, there's the understanding that it can be quite binding. And so it's like part of you is saying, we need to find out what is not working and cut it out. Okay? Cut, snip, snip, prune. Like doing, if you owned a vineyard or something and things hadn't been maintained for a long time, just going around having a look at your vineyard, let's say you're a multimillionaire and you've got your own private vineyard, and you go out there with your team, you say, we need to cut this back, this snip, 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 fix all this, fertilizer here, water there, and sort this out so that we're not stuck or bound or continually walking around in circles, bounded up by misperceptions of what we thought was working. No, I think there's a big chunk inside of you, Cancer, which is saying enough of the BS. I want what's good. I want what's mine. I want what I deserve. I am worthy. I'm deserving. I'm ready. I'm willing to receive. Thank you very much. And that means, in some ways, again, like a lot of things in life, removing the obstacles to happiness. In other words, you've kind of got it all already, Cancer. You've got so much already. All we're doing is discovering what are the obstacles that are blocking it from full manifestation, and then identifying them and cutting them like snip, snip, snip. If you've got health issues, if you've got unhealthy contractual agreements with certain people, if you've got, you know, I guess I just already said it. I don't want to say, I don't want to be offensive or anything. I was going to say something that was probably not going to go down well on camera. So I think I'm just going to close my mouth there. But my feeling here is that you want what works. And you don't mind being very closely melded in with what works, but you don't want to be deeply tied with what doesn't work, okay? So it means very, very stringent controls about like reality checks, like with the vineyard analogy. Let's get this thing sorted out. Let's get into the ground. Let's get into the weeds. Let's pull this stuff out. Let's realign everything, get it all to work properly, okay? So how are we going to do this, okay? Get it out there. With the Eight of Wands here, it's all about expressing yourself passionately and taking charge of this, seeing how much wealth you really do have, how much talent you really do have, and how much you might have been very deeply bound and tied up with things that don't work. Maybe you were just simply unaware. Okay, it's all right, Cancer. You don't have to be born like as an Einstein. You can grow up and mature and evolve through life step by step like the rest of us, okay? But once you realize how much you have, how much bounty you have that can be shared with others, and the only thing that's getting in the way is your own binding attachments to, let's say, old habits and belief systems that are just simply redundant and they need to go, okay? It's very liberating here. This is a card of a great desire to, my feel here is a great desire. It's almost like, this is what I want. This is exactly what I need. I didn't know I was going to learn it and discover it this way, but the way, we're talking about it here on Tarot Lumination, the chance to be liberated from this is just awesome. Once you understand that you had been constrained by all of this. You might not have known until now how deeply constrained you were and how frustrated and locked into old redundant ways because of conditioning or whatever. But now's your chance, okay, to get out of that. Let's have a look. Consequently, wow, with the Ten of Swords here, it's like enough. It's the end of it. It's almost like you're relieving yourself of the burden of all these misperceptions and bad attitudes and just say a ton of just redundant beliefs about how your life is or was or worked and how that was going to contaminate your future. So how, we were talking about earlier, a lot of people don't like to be in the present because it's too stark. Like a lot of this is so uncomfortable that no one would want to face it. But by facing it and seeing it here brightly lit up in March, this is very, very liberating. So you don't have to be hostage to the past. You don't have to have your future held hostage to the past. Because a lot of the times people think that, well, I've always been like really bad with credit cards. I'm never going to get a loan. You've just completely, dissed yourself without even knowing. You're basically saying, well, my future is doomed because my past sucked. It's, it doesn't work like that. So anyway, I think this is really good news. I think the Ten of Swords here is a recognition that when you do truly honor yourself, when you do the appraisals that need to happen and you liberate yourself from what is not working, and you do that and you see how exciting and fun it is to actually liberate yourself by exercising the healing power of no, and to the point of healing, the healing power of FU, and it's liberating. It's enough of this, enough of this, enough of this. 10 of Pentacles be gone, 10 of Swords be gone here. And looking forward to new beginnings. It's really good for you, okay? Cancer, really good. So what happens if you allow yourself to be stuck? Okay, in other words, you neglect all this, you let March go by, and you decide to say, I can't handle this, what the feelings that I'm getting, the signals that are being shown to me by my circumstances, I'm just going to stay stuck here. This is too much for me to handle. Guess what? You lose all of this. You lose all the momentum and all the opportunities that are coming to you. And it's no one to blame but you. However, when you willingly allow yourself to sense and feel everything that we talked about here, what's not working, and you make these decisions to release yourself from the bondage of the past with the healing power of no more, then you deliberately catalyze your future to unfold. Here, the Three of Wands indicating that there's a lot more to come for you in life, Cancer, than what perhaps you thought. And it's about time to rise into your full glory here. Okay? Yeah, kerblam, the world. So in other words, this is a big FU to the way things were, and it's a big hello, how are you, to the way things are going to be from now on. Thank you very much. No apologies. All right. So that's kind of what I got for you here, Cancer. Sorry, I got a bit carried away, but I hope you get the drift of the story that I was feeling here, and that you run with it. You take full advantage of this energy right now. I'm serious, dear Cancer. As painful as it might be to have to deal with this stuff, this is an incredible chance for you to discover what needs to be revealed in order to heal, so that you can really come in touch with higher consciousness, okay? Which is going to work much better for you when it's the proper kind of higher consciousness, as opposed to the degraded or corrupted or just lower version of higher consciousness that you've been carrying for so long. It's time for a major upgrade, and it's going to happen. It's going to be exposed to you. Don't be scared of all of this, okay, Cancer? Allow it to unfold naturally. Don't be scared to use the healing power of no. Allow yourself to be healed. Allow your passion, your blood, and your heart to pump again and live again, so you can almost like, start life again. Have a whole new life unfold in front of you, okay? All the best, Cancer. I don't want to say any more and mess it up. Bye-bye. Have a good March. Bye. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Perfect. There we go.